Hey everybody, welcome to my video showing SketchUp users how to work with Enscape for the very first time. So Enscape is just an extension that you can add into SketchUp to more professionally render the interiors of your projects and even add things like better lighting or even materials into your models. I myself am brand spanking new to Enscape, and I'm certain that as I get to know Enscape more, that I'm going to be updating these videos. So for all of those of you who know Enscape well, please be kind. And for those of you who don't know Enscape well, then you're kind of experiencing it like me as a beginner. And there's no shame in being a beginner with any software. So to get started, I'm in my SketchUp model, which is a salon based on a previous project that I did with my university students. And I want to see and move around easily in the interiors of this building, so I'm going to use a section cut. So I'm going to orbit around, and I'm going to use the section plane tool. And I'm going to hover my mouse over the side of this building, and I'm going to go ahead and click so that it creates that section plane. Don't worry about what it says here, just go ahead and click OK. And then I'm going to highlight this section cut so that it turns blue, and I'm going to move it forward using the move command. Click to start a base point, and then just move it forward slightly, and you'll kind of see how it starts to cut into this building. So I'm going to cut just shy of the wall, so something right about here. And then I'm going to move in so that you can see some of the details of the salon. Now, as you can see, my interiors are fairly well developed using about 95% SketchUp objects and materials, so I suggest that you guys have the same amount completed on your projects before you actually start using Enscape. So when you feel like your model is ready to have a final rendering, then the first thing that you'll want to do is just to make sure Enscape is enabled. So I'm going to come up here to the ribbon and click on Extensions and choose Extension Manager, and just make sure that Enscape for SketchUp is indeed enabled with a blue button. Mine's looking good, so I'm going to go ahead and click the X box here. And then I'm also going to make sure that the Enscape toolbar is showing. Now mine is, but if yours for some reason is not, come over here to View, click on Toolbars, and then make sure that Enscape is indeed checked. I also have the large tool set checked, and that's this tool set that you see over here on the left side. Go ahead and hit Close, and we're back to our model. So as you can see, I have many things added, like salon stations, there's accessories, there's flooring, wall features. I even have an intricate ceiling, and there's even a couple lighting fixtures in here. But what you can also see are these big, blocky, chunky, whitish forms. So these are people that I have inserted using Enscape previously to making this video. So yes, Enscape does have objects that you can insert, but they always kind of look like this. So just so that you understand in general, this is how you can distinguish Enscape objects from SketchUp objects. Now let me explain some of the features on the toolbar for Enscape before we actually start adding objects. To start Enscape, like to get it to actually kind of show up in a separate window, go ahead and click on this first button, and if you hover your mouse over it, it says Start Enscape. So go ahead and click. Now because I'm doing this video, I have to put both Enscape and SketchUp in the same window, but I'm going to tell you guys that it's much easier to have either a dual monitor system or an ultra-wide monitor to kind of manage both windows at the same time. First, I just want to show you this help feature. It is this little question mark that showed up when your Enscape window popped up. Go ahead and click on that, and this will show you some of the basic controls that will help you move around and do some things in Enscape. So as a beginner, I feel like it's a really good idea to explore each of these helpful tips and tricks and really find your own way to navigate through Enscape. So I'm going to just go ahead and close that help bar so that you can actually see the window a little bit better. Now looking at my model, gosh, that is awfully dark, isn't it? Welcome to rendering, everybody. This shows you how important light is to the rendering process, especially when you're doing digital rendering. And Enscape's going to allow us to add these realistic lighting scenarios to this model, and it really gives some pretty cool effects. So we're going to add the lights actually in a future video, but for right now I just want you to understand that our model's dark in Enscape because we don't have any lights actually added. The next two buttons control how you view Enscape. So live update buttons, that one is located right next to the start button. And when you click on it, anything that you make changes on in your model is going to actually show over here. So I'm going to close my default tray for the moment just so that you can see. And I think everybody sees this chair. And then you also see that same chair over here in the Enscape window. When I go to move this chair to the right just a few feet, like if I come over here, staying on that green axis, if you look over in Enscape, that chair also moves. So just if you want to see it update in real time, make sure that you have this button selected. I'm going to go ahead and undo that move just so it goes back and you see that Enscape also went back into place. The next button to show you is the one with the two video cameras. This is called the Synchronize Views button. If you click on it and you start orbiting around your model, you'll see that it starts doing the same thing in Enscape. If that button is not turned on and you orbit, you see that in Enscape, as I'm orbiting in SketchUp, Enscape stays in place. So it's kind of up to you to decide with both of those buttons which one that you want to have on. I personally like having both buttons on. It just kind of helps me check both places and make sure that everything's working well. The fourth button from the left, which is the black circle with the white plus sign, that is the Enscape objects, and in reality when you click on it you'll notice that this is actually how we're going to add the light sources to our model. Now there are multiple types of light sources that you can choose from, and again I'm going to explain these differences and how to place them in a future video. So for now, let's go ahead and exit out of that. The next button is a little cube with a person standing in it. This is the asset library, and this is where certain objects are located. It's kind of like the 3D warehouse of Enscape. It's really great for people, animals, there's lighting that you can use. It's limited, it's not as variable as 3D warehouse, but it definitely helps you add a little bit more realism. So if you want to add plants, I suggest it through Enscape, not in SketchUp, but I also love the fact that we have people that we can work with. So just to kind of show you how this works, find a person that you would like to add. So I'm going to go ahead and add Amina, I guess is what her name is. She's standing wearing an orange dress with a floral pattern. So all you have to do is click twice on her, and then you can kind of see how you bring it into SketchUp actually. So it's not necessarily something that you can put in Enscape. See how you can't see it there? You have to put it in SketchUp. So it's kind of like placing an object from 3D Warehouse. You just click to make her stick, and then you notice that she updates over here. If you want to rotate her at all, it's kind of one of these things, and I'm going to go ahead and close this window, the library window. You have to grab her and then use the rotate command just like you would any object in SketchUp. With the people, I kind of like to come right in front of them and then give it a reference angle, and then we can turn her as we need to, and then you can see how she updates in the Enscape as well. So it's placing people's just like placing objects, really. Nothing too different. Moving forward, the next icon that I want you to see is that little paint swatch icon, and this is the Enscape material library. So clicking on it, you'll see that you can access a little bit more seamless textures that you can use to place on objects. I'll be honest, I haven't really worked with it much at this stage of the game, but it's fun to see that we can access some additional materials to help it look a little bit better than what SketchUp gives us. Ugh, some of those carpets are just wrong. But so this is the materials library, and then related to this is going to be the little checkered disco ball that you see at the top. And this is the Enscape material editor. Now, if you've worked with Revit, you'll kind of recognize that symbol, and it's basically very similar to how Revit works with their materials as well. So this is where you can come and you can edit materials. You can choose like how bumpy or how textured, what kind of reflections your materials have, all kinds of things that you can play with in terms of editing your materials. So again, I'll do another video to go over how to work with materials in Enscape, but for now, just know that this is where you can go to make modifications to materials. The next window over looks like a cloud with a little arrow, and that's your upload management. I haven't really gotten into the logistics of this button either, but I believe this is how Chaos, who is the company that owns Enscape, manages their cloud features. So this is where you can store projects, where you can work with different files in your project. I need to kind of explore this a little bit more to be able to really fully tell you what that does. Right next to it are the symbols with the two gears. This is where you work with general settings, and when you click on it, it basically looks like a bunch of techie nerdy settings that you can play with depending on what your computer system's doing. I don't really know what any of that stuff is necessarily, so I just usually leave that feature alone. Right next to the gears are the chat box icons, and this is where you can let Chaos know if something's going on with your software, you're having technical issues. This is where you go to write a report and to hopefully get somebody to contact you to help you figure out what's going on with your software. The information icon is located right next to the chat box, and it has an eye with a circle around it, and that basically just shows you what version of Enscape that you're working in. Nothing really too fancy, but if you needed to know, here's all that information. I like the shopping cart because that takes you straight to Enscape's website. And I just kind of want to point out that yes, it always takes you to where you can actually purchase a license, and I do believe that if you're a student or an educator, you can definitely get them cheaper than what they're listed above. But I also want to show you that there are things like solutions. So if you want to practice with an interior design project that's already done, you can definitely click here, and it will take you to where you can get a little package to download that you can play with. But resources is also very helpful because there's training videos, there's sample projects, there's the help center, there's forums so that you can ask questions or find answers to questions that people have already had. So definitely a very helpful website in terms of learning Enscape. And then the last icon is just where you can go to manage your Chaos account. If you need to update your license, if you need to update your password, this is where you go. So I guess now that you know the basics of how to initiate Enscape and a little about what it can do, I guess it's time to start learning, and we're going to start by learning how to work with lighting.